I make it the 11th of June 2025. You're welcome back to Real True Education, not fake news. I hope you all like my sun hat. Hope I get the weather I'm expecting. Now, we're constantly giving out about the government and all the things it does. And I have to say that I wouldn't criticise the odd mistake. And while I don't like any type of corruption, and people and politicians living off businesses and rich people, which happens all the time, if it's kept at least in some level of size, if it's not too big, well, we just have to put up with it. We can't spend our whole lives complaining about a crooked shower of rascals, because it's our neighbours, elect them after all. So we're going to look at this heading in yesterday's Daily Mail. So, damning report, how our economy is mismanaged, isn't it? Well, we read it out. A thing about it is, let them do their damnedest, but they can't do it unknown to us. It's like the way in the whole social media, Greta Thunberg is being made a laughing stock of, whereas on RT and BBC, they're all on about her, but she's only a laughing stock at this stage. And I think if we can make the public in Ireland and in Britain ridicule the politicians, in other words, instead of saying, oh, they're terrible, or that fellow's up to no good, get people to laugh at them, the way you would at Charlie Drake or Mickey Mouse. Not easy to laugh at these idiots, but to bring ridicule down on their house. So this says here, damning report on how our economy is managed. Government doing the opposite to what it should. So they're doing the exact opposite. And that's what I'm saying. You know, maybe the right way to go for young people, and even lads middle-aged or retiring with a gratuity, is to figure out how you can profit from this carry on. That's what Warren Buffett said, the big investor. When everyone's running that way, you run in the opposite direction. That's only about half right, but when you can identify how right it is, it can be a very profitable thing. The economy is being managed in a way that is exactly the opposite of standard practice. Oh, we're punching above our weight. When did we hear that before? 2006 and 7, wasn't it? A damning watchdog report has warned there may be full employment. Yeah, but if you print money like it's going out of fashion, you're going to have full employment. With the Exchequer receiving phenomenal levels of excess corporation tax receipts. But the Irish Fiscal Authority Council, IFAC, has made robust criticisms of the government. Now, they have nothing to do with me, I'm only telling you. It was particularly critical of proposals to support the economy while it is doing well. So when it's going fairly well, instead of cutting back a bit and letting it level out, they pump in more. This is the dumbbells we're dealing with. Has made robust criticism. Now, in particularly critical of proposals to support the economy while it is doing well, but to withdraw those supports in the event of a downturn. Aren't there some idiots? When the economy is doing well, they pump in the money they have, and when there's nothing and there's a downturn, they pull out the money. They are some dumbbells. Right. So, an approach condemned as exactly the opposite to what standard economic advice would suggest. So they're doing the opposite. But there's one feature not built into this. If you run Ireland right, they won't vote for you. You have to tell the idiots above in the pubs in Talbot Street. I see them there, I always go in. I do chats of whiskey, it's very risky. I do anyway. And go down, and there'll be that depth of piss in the toilets. And they're in there running out, and they've the paper, and they're looking at the horses, and the next thing is they're having a pint, and Down one's lads in as well. They're all voting for the lefties, and then they run out then and they get the fish and chips and the curry chips and the can of Coke or a pint with it. Every day you see it all the time, and if you know the whole day, it's even better. Poor old barman working, it's unbelievable stuff. But they're everywhere like these people. They're voting for them in Calvin Monaghan, voting for them in Carrickmacross. So, you see, this is the unfortunate part. You do the thing right, you won't get elected. You do it wrong, you will get elected. And that's the way it is. So anyway, If, for example, a trade war caused economic turmoil, the government's approach would be what would it be? If, of course, if there was some Trump tariffs or something and there's economic turmoil, well, that's the time to take it steady, use your strengths and all that. So what do they say they do? If trade war caused economic turmoil, the government approach would be to make the downturn worse. Yeah, make it worse. That's how you get them out. That's how you get the vote. If, for example, a trade war caused Now, the report states the government has set out its tax and spending plans for 2025, but plans may be, I have to continue on the next page, there's some ages, but plans may be altered if the economy suffered a significant downturn, because they won't have the money. Both the programme for government and recent comments from the Minister for Finance suggest that if a downturn were to occur, existing spending plans would be maintained, but tax cuts would be postponed. Would that be enough? But tax cuts would be postponed. In contrast, Finance Minister Patrick Donoghue recently said, in the event of our economy facing a big economic shock, we would have to take measures that would protect the taxes that are coming into our country and protect our public services as they currently are. Because what we don't want to do is to make a decision in October 2025 that means that we have to make harder decisions in October 2028 or 2029. How do you know you'll be there? They're afraid someone else will get in to run the country, and they're not going to leave any surplus for them. They'll try and destroy the economy if they can. Now, the programme for government states that in the event of a downturn, we should maintain capital spending to support the economy. We should also postpone changes to income tax credits and tax bans, as we did in Budget 2022. Now, just to explain that, as long as you can borrow off the bond markets at a reasonable cost, you can spend what you like. You can spend what you like. But that you're really building on your future. You're making your future people pay for it. And as they come along, they're fleeing the country in droves. The northeast, I don't know about anywhere else, the AIR does the networks for the internet, and they're always going around fixing them. They break a lot, and they've suffered a severe hemorrhaging of staff. They had women and all doing it, and all doing good enough. So when you got a breakdown, they'd arrive and they'd fix it. Now, one of the things that I might as well let you know is shooting with shotguns at birds on the wires is doing severe damage to the telecom. So if the bird is on the wire, don't be shooting at him. I don't do it here, but I never did it because you're cutting the wire. But anyway, it should be some public notice on that. But the birds should fly off at least, give them a sporting chance. Anyway, that's beside the point. Anyway, they're all gone, all cleared off, because the government has destroyed our economy, there's no future for anybody here. The programme for government states that in the event of a downturn, we would maintain capital spending support. We would also postpone tax. Now, sorry if I read it twice because I have no biro here. However, IFAC analysis have strongly criticised the policy, saying that the best practice would be to provide tax cuts in the event of a downturn. Yeah, when it's downturn, not in an upturn, thereby giving people more money to pump into the economy and revive it. So the government, that makes sense to me, and they're doing the opposite. The current approach, they said, is pro-cyclical and harks back to the boom-bust cycles of the past. Just total banana republic economics. Total banana republic economics. Pastor Donoghue, look at the go with that idiot. A claw hammer idiot, if ever there was one. The report said of the policy, the government is clearly stating that if the economy is performing well, they will provide support to the economy. If the economy is weaker, they will provide less support. This continues a pattern of recent years where budgetary policy has pumped money into an economy that is performing well. The acting chief economist of IFAC, Niall Conroy, said that level of spending and tax cuts would seem appropriate for an economy that's already performed well. Typically, we would advise that you should be increasing spending and tax cuts like that in the event when the economy does poorly and needs support. At the moment, the economy performs quite well as it is. So it doesn't need any other intervention, but they just like to get their name in the paper. We don't need to go pumping additional money into an economy that is already performing well. The IFAC report also noted that spending on growth at a much faster pace than the 2024 budget allowed for. So it noted that spending is growing much faster. So the government spending like there's no tomorrow. This is occurring in most sectors, not just health. The report said that at the current pace of growth, overruns of 2 billion are likely. The fiscal watchdog added, the government might also continue to increase spending and cut taxes at an excessively fast pace. Should trade tensions subside and Ireland continue to operate near full employment, these policies could put undue pressure on the domestic economy. This would be expected to lead to higher prices for domestic services and rents. On the other hand, if trade tensions escalate, which I hope they do, that Trump may bury them and leave them without a arse in their trousers. Won't be able to buy 1 point in the Sheriff Street. Let them starve. To hell with them anyway. So, on the other hand, the trade tensions escalate. The risk that the government cuts spending and raises taxes would make the downturn worse. Despite the economic uncertainty, the authors of the report said one thing was certain: spending will be higher than forecast in 2025. It was also noted that the government is cutting taxes and increasing spending at twice the sustainable rate. Twice the sustainable rate. Seamus Coffey, the council's chairman, said the Irish economy is in a strong position going into a period of uncertainty. The government needs to ensure that budgetary policy reduces the ups and downs of the economy. Introducing a rule would help. That rule would help fiscal policy in the coming years. And it goes on and on and on. Folks, we are in an idiocracy. And when the right thing to do is go up, they go down. And when the right thing to do is go south, they go north. Just to understand that, there should be a commission, and I wouldn't mind paying a little to it. Every year we should establish the top 10 idiots in the country. We should, private or public, we should name them. And if they're convicted of crimes, name them as well. And put the politicians in for their idiocracy with the criminals and the sex offenders and the con artists and the whole lot. And give them a present and have a big function to cheer them on. I know they wouldn't come to it. Well, you could have someone receive it on their behalf. It's unbelievable stuff. They're mismanaging the economy. They're just printing money like there's no tomorrow. An item that I was buying before the COVID that used to cost $10.50 is now costing $17. That's what they're doing. Anytime they need money, they just print. We'll see you back. Good luck. Thank you.